2022 has finally come to a close, and boy, what a year it's been. But at least we had video games. Here's a list of my 10 favorite video games of 2022. Just some ground rules first. This is a list of my favorite games that I played in 2022. Not necessarily a ranking of the best game. In fact, you'll see that I have objectively better games ranked lower than my favorites. Except for number one. Number one is a perfect game, so stay tuned for that. You'll want to see that one. Also, these are games I first played in 2022. I'm a latecomer to a lot of them, so you'll see a few on the list that have been out for a while. Now, with all that out of the way, hit it, Ziggy. At number 10 is Astroneer. Now, this game has sat in my backlist ever since the NoClip documentary came out about it. We got a link in the description to that. Definitely go check it out. It will make you cry. And then probably buy the game. This game got its hooks into me immediately. It has that addicting gameplay loop of punch X to make Y, find Z to make punching X easier, finally make more Ys than what you need, start over and make a new thing. It's a game where you can just sit down, relax, and completely devastate the natural resources of a planet. At number 9 is OlliOlli World. I haven't been on a skateboard in over 10 years. This game instantly brought back all the feelings of joy and excitement that I remember from my old pastime. I also love seeing all the positive relationships in this game. It's really a trend in 2022, seeing like positive and encouraging friendships in games. An unlikely place I saw was in Saints Row. It was nice to see people being nice to each other, being nice to the people in their lives that they care about. Everyone in this game is cool in their own way, and everyone is embraced as who they are, which is just a great message. The only thing missing from this game is a vinyl release of the soundtrack, but you can find it on Spotify. At number 8 is Little Misfortune. I was first introduced to this game by TikTok clip.
Time to use my ninja skills. Shh, little butt crack. Be quiet. This is a ninja mission.
What I thought was going to be a cute game about a naive girl exploring a world turned into a bleak exploration of trauma, loss, and nihilism. And also demons. And I loved every minute of it. It's a secret game. You think you're getting into one thing, and it totally flips it on you. It's a heavy game, but if you're prepared for that, I would definitely recommend it. Number 7 is Ghost of Tsushima. I came to Ghost of Tsushima kind of late, but I was determined to play it on a PS5 with the director's cut, Game of the Year edition, with everything included on it. The first thing I did when we finally got a PS5 this year was to get a hold of a copy and just dive into this game. There's long been a debate over whether or not video games count as legitimate art. Every new media has this debate at some point. Movies, TV, rock music, video games is just the current one. This game, on its own, could single-handedly serve as definite proof that yes, video games are art. On top of this being one of the most beautiful games I've ever played, the story was one of the most engaging of any game I played this year. Everything controls just how you expect it. Everything just feels good in this game. The combat, the horse riding, the sneaking around, grappling everywhere, the sword duels, all of it just feels exactly how you want it to, exactly how you would expect it to. If you're a fan of ramen westerns, open world games, or just want to get lost somewhere that isn't... Do not sleep on this game. Number 6 is Persona 5 Royale. I was actually pretty hesitant putting Persona 5 Royale on the list. I played the original release of Persona 5 a few years ago. I only got about 28 hours in. I made it to like the 3rd dungeon and just kind of fell off it. But then Royale came out on Game Pass, so I figured now may be a good time to dive in and try to finish the story. 100 hours later, and I would feel dishonest if I didn't sing my love for this game. The best part is that in the Royale Edition, you can equip all of the characters with costumes as the in-universe Super Sentai team Featherman. And when you do, the battle music changes to the Featherman theme song, which is a fictional theme song for a fictional Sentai team sung by Lin, who does all the music for what is arguably one of the best soundtracks in video games. The theme song is just perfect, nostalgic Sentai series stuff. If you've been around for any amount of time, you know how much I love Super Sentai. It's like this was just added just for me. But then Persona 5 is also a very excellent game with that just oozes with style. A funny, gripping, compelling story, and one of the best soundtracks ever. At number 5 is Shredder's Revenge. Do you like the classic Konami TMNT games? Good, because Shredder's Revenge is the ultimate realization of those games. This game is not just a love letter to those classics, but the classic cartoon as well. The surviving original cast members all reprise their role for the game. Tribute Games sprite work continues to be some of the best sprite work in the industry. And there's also little Easter eggs just thrown in everywhere in the game. For number 4, we're cheating. It's Sonic the Hedgehog games. 2 Sonic the Hedgehog games in particular. The first is Sonic and the Fallen Star. This is a fan-made classic 2D Sonic the Hedgehog game that finally hit 1.0 this year. The sprites are unique to this game, and they're beautifully animated. They're just full of detail and personality. The soundtrack is another banger. Make sure you check out the soundtrack. The link below. The composer for the soundtrack actually hung out with us while we streamed the game. The wonderful human being. Give them all the love you can. The levels are well designed with an appropriate difficulty, which can be difficult to find in fan games. Usually fan games difficulty is kind of tailored around people who are like always in it or always playing these games. But this game's nice that if you haven't played Sonic the Hedgehog in a couple years, you can pick this up and make it through the game just fine. This game also doesn't fall back on using the Chaos Emeralds in Super Sonic, like every single Sonic the Hedgehog game. Instead, we're introduced to a new form of Sonic, completely unique to this game. And now this would have been my favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game of all time, if it wasn't for Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit. Triple Trouble on the Game Gear has always been my favorite Sonic game. It's not the best Sonic game, but it's my favorite. To me, it always felt like Sonic 2.5, right? A perfect encapsulation of what I love about both those games. And it introduced Sonic's best ability in any Sonic game, and that's the ability to turn into a ball after hitting a spring. You know, when you jump, you're in a ball. When you hit a spring, you're usually shooting straight up in the air. You're not in ball form. You're vulnerable. Press the jump button again. Boom. Now you can kill your enemies. These be in every game. This fan-made remake has been in development for 5 years, and it's finally complete. The game strikes that perfect balance of being faithful to the original while updating content, levels, and mechanics. It feels like this is the game Sega would have released if the Game Gear could have handled it, and that's a difficult task to accomplish. At number 3 is TUNIC. TUNIC is the best game to come out all year, and I will absolutely die on that hill. TUNIC is an action-adventure game in the vein of Zelda, starring the most adorable fox you'll ever see. And then it borrows mechanics from a variety of Monra games, including Dark Souls. There's a dodge roll mechanic. When you save and rest, you regain health and mana, but also all the enemies respawn. All this works together to create an experience that is both familiar and unique. Somehow? And again, we have a game where the soundtrack is one of the standouts. And the game also scores serious bonus points for its accessibility options. The difficulty ramp in TUNIC is very steep. It gets Nintendo hard very fast. But luckily, the game comes with a lot of options to make the game accessible to remain challenging to most players. Retro game enthusiasts and collectors will also love the main mechanic of this game, which is to find and translate an old instruction manual that tells you how to play the game, reveals lore behind the game, and even unlocks some secrets. You can only play this game for the first time once, like classic adventure games. Once you've made your way through the game, you'll realize that I was always able to open that door. I was always able to get that item. I was always able to do the thing I needed to do. I just didn't know it. So you'll never play this game the same way twice. At number 2 is Trombone Champ. I could not help myself. There are better games on this list, but Trombone Champ made me the happiest of any game of 2022. It filled my heart with absolute joy. It even motivated me to dig out my trombone in real life. I haven't played it, but I found it. If the point of playing video games is to have fun, then Trombone Champ succeeds with flying dudes. And finally, my favorite game of the year and every year is PAKOON 2.mini. Absolute masterpiece, 10 out of 10. You will not find a better video game. So that's my list of my favorite video games of 2022. I'm curious to know what your favorites are. Let me know in the comments below. You can hop on over to our Discord, talk about it. Or if you have your own video, I'd love to see it. Share a link down below. We got a lot of cool stuff planned for 2023. Over here at YouTube, over my Twitch channel. Just a lot of cool stuff that's going to be happening. So we hope you'll stick around by clicking the subscribe button below. In the meantime, check out an episode of our review series, Cartridge in the Rough. Follow us over on Twitter for updates. And until then, to be continued.